Good morning, honorable House leaders, esteemed members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming for today's press conference. Um, I am honored to introduce House Deputy Speaker and Quezon Representative David J.J. Suarez, the Young Guns Roadshow Manager, and of course the Young Guns leaders headed by House Assistant Majority Leaders Gil Bungalon of Ako Bicol Party List, Paulo Ortega of La Union, J. Kung Hun of Zambales, and Representative Rods Gutierrez of One Rider Party List. For today's first question, may I call on Marian Enriquez from TV5.
Good morning po. For Kong Jill Bongalon, kasi 3 a.m. na, I guess, almost 3 na po natapos yung budget hearing kanina. Can you walk us through lang po and paano yung magiging move or next actions ng majority, like sa amendments na po ba, if ever na hindi pa rin po umattend ang or any representative ng OVP, tomorrow na ba yung adjustments, for example, sa budget ng OVP? Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the question. So, yung parliamentary status po ng budget ng Office of the Vice President is that it has not yet taken up in the plenary, ano? Kasi kahapon, 17 oras naghintay ang miyembro ng House of Representatives for the Office of the Vice President to appear before the plenary. Although may pinadala po silang mga abogado, but they are not properly equipped with the authorization, no? So in other words, they're not authorized to represent on behalf of the Vice President. So ngayon po, naka-schedule ang pagtalakay sa budget ng Office of the Vice President. So we will wait until the Vice President shows up and then, or any of the representative of the Office of the Vice President.
Sir, if wala nga po umattend from the OVP, ano pong mangyayari? Ano na pong gagawin ng majority?
Well, we still have 1 day, which is by tomorrow. So, ang House of Representatives naman is very lenient, no? We're giving so much leniency to the Office of the Vice President and give chance, no? Para po sila ay dumalo dito po sa pagtalakay sa plenaryo ng kanila pong budget. So we have until Wednesday, which is tomorrow. They're given sufficient time within which to appear before the plenary. And the sponsor, the good congressman from Lanao del Sur, the Honorable Zia Alonto Adjong, is still waiting, no, for the Office of the Vice President. So mahirap naman po kasi sa party niya, no, bilang budget sponsor. May mga katanungan po talaga na dapat yung sagot is manggagaling po directly sa head of the agency. So with that, hihintayin ho natin ngayong araw ng Martes. At kung hindi po mag-appear, we still have tomorrow, which is Wednesday, for them to appear and defend the budget through their sponsor, yung budget po ng Office of the Vice President.
And if tomorrow po hindi pa rin po umattend ang OVP or anyone from them?
If I would just may add dun sa sinabi ni Congressman Jill, alam nyo kahapon talagang nakakaawa po yung mga miyembro ng Kongreso. Although talagang trabaho naman talaga namin yun, yung pagsisiyasat at paghihimay ng budget ng mabawat ahensya. Nag-umpisa po kami ng alas 10 at natapos po kami ng alas 3 ng umaga. At kahapon po, nakaschedule po yung Office of the Vice President at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, the Vice President was not available. She was not present. And also, neither was a letter explaining her absence was presented to the committee. Furthermore, there was no letter authorizing any representative to represent the Office of the Vice President in yesterday's proceedings. So inantay po namin yung kabuuan ng Lunes at umabot na po ng Martes, kakaantay kasi lang wala pa rin po. So ngayon, tulad ng sinabi ni Congressman Jill, aantayin pa rin po namin kung ano po ang magiging aksyon ng Office of the Vice President hanggang bukas. So we will provide every opportunity for the Office of the Vice President to come and and be present during the plenary debates. I think it is only but necessary for every head of office to make themselves available in such a crucial period, because we are tackling the budget by which the office will be operating on the following year. So we have to give dignity and respect to the office that they represent. At ang isang pinakamagandang pagpapakita nito ay syempre yung pagpunta dito sa Kongreso. Kasi bahagi naman po talaga to ng legislative process, bahagi po talaga to ng ating demokrasya, bahagi po talaga to ng tinatawag po natin transparency and accountability na pinatutupad po natin sa ating pamahalaan.
May we hear the comments from other distinguished
So
guests?
add lang yung kay Kong JJ, they very much put it well, yung kay Jay, sa Kong Jay saka kay Kong Jill. Pero sana wag naman po silang paasa kasi sunod-sunod na po yung events, nakikita nyo naman po, Chronicle. Ngayon, hanggang Wednesday po, we're extending the full courtesy at saka yung of course, yung pagrespeto po sa Office of the Vice President ay binibigay po ng House of Representatives. Pero mahirap po ang paasa, saka wag naman silang paasa.
Kung Paulo, yung sinasabi na wag pasa, yung uso din ba sa budget process yung ghosting na tinatawag?
Oo nga, no? Pero ano na ngayon, hindi na August. Extended.
I guess in addition to that po, no, and that's rightly put by DS Suarez, on the part of the minority naman, usually when there are any irregularities or when any answer is insufficient, we would usually defer. But for once, yung minority po all in agreement na wag naman yung ultimatum na defer, we are extending maximum leniency in the hopes that we would come to a, productive resolution to this chapter of the budget hearings. Yet, after 17 hours of deliberation, not one authorized representative was there. But yun nga po, pinag-usapan, kahit yung minority, hindi po ipapa-defer. We are willing to take it up the next day, and as mentioned already by Congressman Bongalon, should it come to that, we're also willing to take it up again on Wednesday, just to uphold our constitutional duty to pass this budget. We're doing all that we can. We're exerting all our efforts. Kahit nakawawa na po si Kong Zia, nakita po namin after 17 hours, hinintayin niya po talaga. And if, I don't know if nakita sa live stream, pero natutulog na po siya sa corner waiting. And unfortunately, I feel like he will wait again today. And he might have to wait again tomorrow. So, yun na po, panawagan lang po siguro namin is, wag naman pabitin po, no? Let's conclude this budget process according to the Constitution.
Lahat naman po ng lahat naman po ng mga departamento kailangan dumaan sa prosesong ganito. Wala pong exempted dito at binibigyan naman po ng respeto at paggalang ang opisina ng Vice President. Yun lang sana umattend at respetuhin ang proseso at sana wag pa-baby At talagang kailangan kasi nating malaman kung saan niya dinadala, ginagamit yung budget ng OVP. So sana respetuhin niya yung proseso at magpadala ng representative or umattend siya sa budget hearing na lahat naman ng mga departamento ay ginagawa.
Thank you, Marian. Let's move to the next question from Bibian Gulia of ABS-CBN2.
Good morning po. Clarification lang, as of now, until this time po, wala pa ring letter of explanation na ibinibigay sa Kamara ang Office of the Vice President regarding the absence, and wala pong dumating today na representative from the Office of the Vice President. And just to reiterate the question po kanina, what will happen if on Wednesday, wala pa rin pong ipadalang letter or of explanation or representative ang OVP?
Yeah. Well, from my knowledge, as of today, wala pa rin pong pinadadalang explanation, wala pa rin pong pinadadalang sulat o anumang document para ipaliwanag kung bakit wala po sila kahapon. We will wait for the entire day of Tuesday because we really want to progress already dito po sa plenary debates ng iba't ibang mga ahensya. medyo sumisikip na nga po dahil yung ibang mga departments nakaschedule for today, yung ibang ng mga departments na hindi po na-defer nung nakarang linggo, nakaschedule for today at yung iba naman para bukas. So I do hope that we're able to close this chapter and we can move forward already because we're scheduled to go on break on the 25th, so sa Wednesday. So kailangan po talaga matapos kaagad namin po within the given time period. Now, doon po sa tanong po ninyo, kung wala pa rin po, siguro mas maganda pong antayin po natin kung ano po ang magiging aksyon ng plenaryo dito at kung ano po ang magiging rekomendasyon ng Committee on Appropriations because they're the ones presenting the budget right now on plenary. So this is not a decision for us to make, but rather a decision for the 315 or 16 congressmen who compose the House of Representatives.
But can you at least walk us through the scenarios po, possible scenarios? For example, posible po bang ipasa yung budget? I mean, could it delay the target to pass the national budget on third reading on Wednesday? Or posible po bang yung panukalang 733 million, yun na yun? Or posible bang bumaba pa po yung panukalang budget para sa Office of the Vice President?
As of now, siguro it wouldn't be prudent to answer the question because let's give them a little bit more time. Meron pa naman buong araw ng Martes at nandun pa naman po yung buong araw ng Miyerkules para humarap, dumating, ipaliwanag at wala naman po tayong dapat sarahang na pinto sa pagkakataon para sa Office of Vice President na dumalo ng maayos sa plenary discussions ng kanilang budget.
Dagdag ko lang po, so the last time we checked, the holding group assigned for the officials of the Office of the Vice President, until now po wala pong ni isang opisyal na dumalo galing po sa Office of the Vice President. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the whole Tuesday to wait for them to appear and express that they are willing to attend these plenary debates on the sponsorship of the budget of the Office of the Vice President.
Huli na lang from me, sir, kasi yesterday may si Congressman Manuel during his manifestation na clear betrayal of public trust itong ginagawa daw po ng Vice Presidente na hindi umiiwas sa pagpapaliwanag ng how her office utilized the budget. Do you agree with that? And there are calls sa mga rally yesterday to impeach the Vice President. Your thoughts lang po.
Well, hindi naman kasi napag-uusapan dito sa House yung pag-i-impeach sa Vice President. Katulad nga na sinasabi ni Kong JJ kanina, we respect the Office of the Vice President and we are giving much leeway sa ating VP para i-defend at pumunta rito sa House para i-defend yung kanyang budget. So, sa majority, wala kaming napag-uusapan tungkol sa impeachment. Hindi natin iniisip yan. At ang importante sa amin ngayon is maipasa on time yung budget, including the budget of the Office of the Vice President, At maipakita sa tao na ang Kongreso patuloy nagtatrabaho para may ahon ang kanilang buhay para makatulong tayo sa buhay ng ating mamamayan. At syempre, yan din yung gusto ng ating leader sa Kongreso, Speaker Martin Romualdez, na maipasa agad ang budget dahil ang budget na ito budget na malaki ang maitutulong upang maiangat ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan.
Siguro in addition to that po, yung konsepto po natin sa pagboboto, dito po nanggagaling yung concept of public trust. Kapag tayo po ay nagboboto, we as the public repose our trust and confidence that the elected official will uphold his or her constitutionally mandated duties. So when an official who is supposed to appear before the House and defend his or her budget fails to do so, to an extent, betrayal po of public trust yun. That is true. It is the betrayal of that duty, constitutional duty, for his or her part in the budget process. But yung to the point naman po, ma'am, na sinasabi na impeachment, I think that's, yun nga po, as sabi ni Kong Jay, wala naman po yun on the table in the House, di man pinag-uusapan, and you have to consider the degree of the public trust that has been betrayed. But just to be purely technically po, it is in a way betrayal of public trust. But whether it would amount to impeachment, masyadong malayo naman po yun. Ayun lang po masabi.
For my part, I totally understand where Congressman Manuel is coming from. The frustration that he has felt in the past few weeks with regards to the issues confronting the Office of the Vice President with regards to their funds, fund management, and how it was utilized, and much more yesterday na nakaschedule po yung Office of the Vice President for plenary discussion. At yung hindi po pagsipot dito ay talaga namang I mean, pagpapakita po, me personally, I'm disappointed. I mean, I would have expected more. I mean, this is such an important part in the budgetary process. And if you can see, and if you have seen in the past few days, weeks, secretaries are here waiting for more than 10 hours just so that their department can be presented in plenary. And no one is excused from this process. So I do understand the frustrations of Congressman Manuel, and I do respect where he's coming from. And with regards to that, I'm still hopeful na sana itong mga darating na araw naman, di ba? Dumating, magpaliwanag para matapos na po natin ito.
Thank you. Next up, we have a question from Billy Vegas of Abante Politico.
Magandang umaga po. Hingi lang po ng reaction kasi it appears po based dun sa mga lumabas sa social media na galing sa beach si VP. So nakapunta siya sa beach pero hindi siya nakarating sa budget deliberation. So ano pong thoughts niyo doon?
Kung totoo man yun, sir, papasana all ka na lang talaga. Kasi kami, dire-diretso po yung trabaho dito sa House. Siyempre, napaka-importante nga po nung na-highlight na exercise ng budget deliberations. Clear naman po sa statements ko from previous na press cons na hindi namin napag-uusapan yung impeachment. Pero parang ang dating tuloy sa mga nangyayari sa pag-snub po sa mga hearings, sa pag-walk out po sa hearings, sa pag-take ng oath, sa hindi pag-defend ng budget. Parang hindi po siya interesado sa trabaho at sa pagiging active po bilang Vice President. Siguro, ewan ko, baka ako lang to, baka magpa-file siya o tatakbo siya. Baka ibang gusto niyang position. Kaya medyo ibang treatment niya sa Office of the Vice President.
Well, for me, nakaka-disappoint, because we expect so much from her. At nakakalungkot dahil talagang nakita naman natin na yung mga kasamahan natin, kami dito sa Kongreso, nagtatrabaho talaga ng hanggang madaling araw para maipasa yung batas. At yun nga, ipinagpaliban yung budget niya kahapon. Tapos, kung totoo man, malalaman natin na siya ay naliligo sa beach, nagbi-beach, nagpapakasarap. Samantalang yung mga tao dito sa Kongreso, nagpapakahirap para ipasa yung budget for 2025. Talagang nakaka-frustrate, talagang sana humarap na lang siya rito, tapusin natin yung budget hearing, pumunta siya rito, i-defend yung budget ng OVP, gawin yung kanyang mandated constitutional responsibility na i-defend yung budget ng OVP. So, nakakalungkot na nagkaroon tayo ng Vice President na talagang kinakalimutan yung kanyang trabaho at yung kanyang responsibilidad na gawin yung kanyang constitutionally mandate na trabaho para lamang mag-beach kung totoo man yun.
For my part, this is bigger than the Vice President per se. Ang daming personnel, ang daming tao, ang daming mga empleyado na nasa ilalim ng Office of the Vice President. So dapat iniisip din nila yung kalagayan nito. Kasi kung walang budget to, paano yung sweldo nila sa susunod na taon? Paano yung operating expense ng Office of the Vice President kung wala sila? So I mean, this is not a matter of personality, but a matter of position that she has been elected to, and that she needs to hold dear to her heart, especially the responsibilities that come with it. And some of those responsibilities may be difficult. Some of those responsibilities may be hard. But those are responsibilities that have to be done. And one of those responsibilities is coming to Congress, standing for your agency, and supporting your budget. So with regards to the photo in the beach, hindi ko pa po kasi, although I've seen the article, seems like it's a nice beach. Siguro pag may time tayong lahat at wala na tayong masyadong gawa, siguro maganda makapunta din tayo doon para makita natin.
What's the mood in the house? If she doesn't show up,
I think right now, siguro nasa level na po ng frustration.
so if she doesn't show up or send a legal representative, I'm not very familiar with the process, but she doesn't have to show up here personally, diba? It's not in the rules. But
Yes,
the
yes.
authorized representative has to
Yes,
be here.
okay.
So paano kung walang mangyari doon until tomorrow? What's the mood in the house?
I think we'll definitely cross the bridge once we get there. You made an excellent point. I think it was 2 years ago, and may her soul rest in peace. Secretary Toots Ople, I was defending the budget ng DMW. She wasn't available for plenary debates because she was in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at ina-address niya yung issue ng mga OFWs natin doon na hindi pa nababayaran. Kaso lang, nagpadala siya ng sulat at nagpaliwanag siya kung bakit hindi siya makadalo. At bagamat hindi po siya nakadalo, kumpleto naman po yung mga USEC at ASECs ng DMW na nandoon. So, doon tinanggap po yun ng plenary. Now, with regards to the second part of your question, kung ngayon at bukas hindi pa rin siya dumalo, again, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, I cannot preempt the actions of the House members. It will have to be discussed by Congress and by all of us kung ano po ang mangyayari sa budget ng Office of the Vice President.
So at the bare minimum, you'll be satisfied with her sending a letter of explanation and sending an authorized representative?
Well, I think I'll be satisfied with whatever. I mean, when I say whatever is legally binding for us to actually continue on with the budget proceedings. I think for her part and for any agency's part, alam na naman po nila kung anong kailangan nilang gawin para makapag-progress na po tayo sa budget process.
Ang problema po kasi hindi natin masagutan diretso yan. Kasi first time lang po mangyayari ito na isang departamento, walang ipinadalang representative, hindi nagpakita yung kanyang mga tauhan, so first time nangyari ito. Tama naman po si Kong JJ na talagang kailangan pag-usapan ng majority at miyembro ng Kongreso kung anong gagawin, dahil nga first time nangyari ito na walang representative, wala yung department head, na hindi sila umattend sa budget hearing ng kanilang departamento.
Well, just to give a reaction on that matter, so unang-una, naghintay po yung miyembro ng House of Representatives for the Vice President to appear before the plenary and help the sponsor to answer the questions. So there are photos and even videos circulating that on the Monday morning, nandun po siya sa isang beach, no, in Camarines Norte. Sa amin po yun, sa Bicol region. So maganda kasi na-promote pa po yung Calaguas Beach. In other words, ibig sabihin po nito, wala ho talagang intensyon, no, na dumalo dito po sa pagdinig sa plenaryo upang i-sponsor at i-defend ang budget po ng OVP. Sapagkat kung meron po siyang intensyon, dapat Sunday man lang nandito na po siya sa Manila. O kaya naman, nakipag-communicate po siya sa office ni Congressman Adjong para magkaroon po ng briefing at i-prepare man lang at mapaghandaan po ng budget sponsor ang mga katanungan ni tatanong po sa OVP. So, pangalawa, consistent naman po yung Vice President natin. In fairness to her, consistent in the sense na hindi po siya dumalo nung Committee on Appropriations Budget hearing, pati po dito sa plenary, hindi rin po dumalo. So kung ganyan po, it shows that she's not interested with her duties and functions as the Vice President of the Philippines. So kung ganyan po yung lumalabas, probably we can ask her to step down as the Vice President. Kasi nakikita natin hindi naman po siya dumadalo sa mga pandinig dito po sa Kongreso. So, ano po ibig sabihin nito? Hindi na po siya interesado at mas pinili niya pa po bumunta sa isang beach resort kaysa dumalo po dito sa pagdinig sa kanya pong budget. So, I guess it's the Filipino people. It's up to them, no, to judge the Vice President. Yun na lang po siguro ang mga reaction ko po dyan.
You're asking her to resign.
Kung hindi na po siya interesado sa kanya pong duties and functions as the Vice President, we can ask the Vice President to step down.
Thank you. Let us acknowledge Rosa Lecos from UNTV.
Good morning po, Kongs. I'm not sure if you have read the letter of VP Duterte addressed to Kong Sia. It's dated September 11, and then she said, the Vice President said, as communicated to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Chair of the Committee on Appropriations, the OVP has duly submitted all the required documents to the committee pertaining to its budget request for the upcoming year. Furthermore, a comprehensive overview of our proposals was presented during my presentation on 27 August 2024. In consideration of the foregoing, the OVP leaves the deliberation of our budget proposal in the plenary entirely to the pleasure of the House of Representatives. So, long before the plenary deliberations, may sulat na po si OVP. Why do you find it not acceptable?
Well, it's basic. Yes, it's up to the sound discretion of Congress. Yun naman talaga yun Kaso lang, pagdating sa budget deliberations, yung mga departments at agencies concerned, dumadating. Kasi pagdating ng mga katanungan sa sponsor at wala yung representative ng ahensya na yon, paano may sasagot? Paano magkakaroon ng kaliwanagan? Huwag po natin kakalimutan ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito, pera ng taong bayan to, hindi to pera ng iisang tao, ng isang pribadong individual. These are funds, these are public funds that have to be properly explained, have to be properly determined how they were used and how they are planned to be utilized for the succeeding year. That's why the agency heads and the agency representatives or the departments have to be present during plenary debates. So, given that she has a letter, that's true. Yes, it's up to the sound discretion of the House. However, we cannot take away that there is a process in determining the budget.
I think if we take note po, the contents of the letter just is a reiteration of the answer that they have interposed even for the pre-budget deliberations. So kumbaga po, inuulit niya lang po na she's leaving it to the House to decide on the fate of her budget. However, it does not say that she will not participate with our processes. It does not say that she will not attend. It does not say that she will send an authorized representative. So I don't think the September 11 letter would be any indication of what transpired yesterday. So I don't think we could have been prepared po. But with that said, as mentioned earlier, we, the House collectively will be extending maximum leniency, and we're hoping for the best po that at least the bare minimum would be complied with, that we may proceed with the budget. Yun lang po.
Alright, mag-follow up lang po ako. Yun pong non-appearance ng Vice President po before the House of Representatives plenary deliberations, how does this affect the whole budget proceedings po? Will, yung pong assumptions na magkakaroon ng re-enacted budget, may ganun bang usapan? Wala. Or nadidelay ba yun pong budget proceedings dahil lang po sabi nyo nga po, it's very unusual for a head of a government agency not to appear before the budget deliberation. So, gaano nito naapektuhan po yun pong mahalagang proseso na ito dito sa Kamara?
I think everybody will have their opinion in this. I think it affects everybody. Number one, like what I told you, as a matter of operationalizing the budget process, kita nyo naman, nagsisiksikan po lahat ng mga departments at agencies ngayon para maipasok natin lahat ng kanilang mga budget presentations for Tuesday, Wednesday. Actually, this started since last week. Not to mention, we have congressmen sleeping at 4 a.m., waking up at 9 a.m. just to make sure that they are here, present, doing their responsibilities. So with this, there's a certain gray area as to where and how po natin isisingit. But like what I told you kanina, we will extend all courtesy and leeway, and kung necessary, magpupuyat tayo para lang antayin siya. Kaso lang ang mahalaga, huwag naman po natin i-disrespect yung proseso dahil bahagi po talaga ito ng demokrasya. Kung lahat naman po dumadaan sa ganito, bakit exempted? Di ba? Walang exemption dito. Everybody has to go through the process. So, with that being said, you mentioned an issue about reenacted budget. I don't think that is within any real means, because so far naman all the other departments and agencies have fully complied with the requirements of the law. So, ito lang naman talaga yung issue lang talaga ng Office of the Vice President, yung medyo hindi pa namin maintindihan. Ako personally, hindi ko talaga maintindihan kung bakit hindi na lang dumalo dito para matapos na to.
To add lang po, siguro para mas maintindihan po ng mga viewers din po na iba. 'Di ba? Sabi nga po nila sa classroom, merong batas. Naalala niyo pa 'yon? Bawal lumabas, bawal lumabas. Para kami nasa classroom. Kung may sakit ka, may excuse letter ka. Kung nag-absent ka, absent ka. Kung nag-half day ka, absent ka. Kung nag-cutting ka ng classes, absent ka pa rin. So, absent, wala. Hindi po siya nag-attend, hindi nag-participate. Kung nandyan man, hindi nasagot po yung mga tanong, lalo po nung briefings. Kasi nga, meron pong statement, meron siyang script na ginamit. Siyempre, makikita nyo yung frustration sa House. Kahit basahin nyo yung mga statements, yung mga letters, oo, may mga semantics, may mga salita po tayo nakikita doon. Pero, ang isang batas, ang isang regulasyon po na, halimbawa, itong pinapatupad namin, itong exercise namin sa House of Representatives, siyempre, kailangan mo naman tignan yung kaluluwa kung anong ginagawa namin dito sa House of Representatives. Yung budget deliberations po. Bayad kami ng taong bayan para busisiin, magtanong, gumawa ng naakmang mga batas para mas maayos ma-implement po yung mga ganitong programa, like for the case of the Office of the Vice President. Pero may trabaho po sila, may obligasyon sila dito at bayad sila ng taong bayan para dumating po dito at sagutin yung mga tanong na para po mas maging efficient po yung proposal nila for the next year. So, ganun lang po kasimple.
Dagdag ko lang po, well, of course, definitely, naapektuhan po yung budget process. It causes delay, And, of course, I would like to emphasize that we cannot sacrifice the entirety the national budget because of one agency. We have to remember that we keep on mentioning this. Ito pong General Appropriations Act is the most important piece of legislation every year because we are talking about the national budget. We are talking about the programs to be funded, especially yung mga social services program, ayuda, programa sa mga mangingisda, sa atin pong members of the agricultural sector. So in other words, kung ito po ay mai-delay at hindi po ay maipasa sa tamang oras, the negative impact is that we will have a reenacted budget. And when we speak of reenacted budget, kung ano yung budget this present year, that will be the budget for next year. So affected yung mga programa na kailangan taasan yung pondo, mga programa na dapat kailangan na busisiin. So that is the essence on why it is very important ito pong budget process. So if meron pong isang ahensya ng gobyerno na makakaapekto po, definitely we will not allow that because masasacrifice po yung the entirety of the budget of the Republic of the Philippines. So as much as possible, we are doing our jobs here as Vice Chairperson po ng Committee on Appropriations. Gusto ho namin, planchado lahat ng budget ng kada ahensya ng gobyerno. Pero kung meron pong mga ganito na ahensya ng gobyerno, well, definitely, hindi po kami papaapekto. Dahil it is our constitutional mandate to pass the budget on time para hindi po masakripisyo yung pondo ng taong bayan for the next fiscal year, which is on 2025. Salamat po.
Okay, thank you. Well, yung reenacted budget na sinasabi ninyo, no, para sa budget ng OVP, it is not possible, no? Hindi posible yon dahil napaka-imposible nun kasi nga talagang nagtatrabaho ang mga miyembro ng Kongreso para ipasa yung budget on time. Kung ang tingin ng ating Vice President, kaya niyang isabotahe yung pagpasa ng budget ng ating pamahalaan for 2025, hindi po papayagan ng Kongreso yon. Nagtatrabaho po ang mga miyembro ng Kamara para ipasa siya on time. At sana maisip din ng ating Vice President na dyan din nakasalalay sa budget ng OVP yung mga nagtatrabaho sa kanyang opisina, yung mga merong plantilla positions sa opisina ng Office of the Vice President na kailangan ng sweldo, kailangan ng trabaho. Sana maisip din niya yon na hindi naman po pwede na lagi na it's all about her. Kailangan din niyang isipin yung mga nagtatrabaho sa kanyang departamento. So yung reenacted budget ng OVP, it is impossible. Hindi mangyayari po yun dahil hindi papayagan yun ng Kongreso.
Just an addition lang po, no? Usually po when you speak of reenacted budget, you're talking about the whole budget. And this usually happens pag may substantial issues, meaning the parties don't agree in the direction of the budget or the leadership is unable to keep everything in line. In this case po, I think procedural lang naman po ito. It's just a procedural issue. The budget process of Congress is slowing down to accommodate the certain personalities to appear, to be heard, to be fair, to be lenient. And I think the leniency afforded on this procedural issue will have its limit. And we will not sacrifice the budget for the sake of this, procedural lapse. The substantive must reign, and still we will pass this budget. It's just that what we're trying to say here is that the budget will wait for no man. But in this case, it is a woman. So, yun po.
Before we recognize Big Sumintak from Net25, we will acknowledge again Marian Enriquez for a related question.
Sorry, follow-up lang po dun sa question ni Ate Maki. Kung Jill said, kung hindi na siya interesado, VP Sara, sa trabaho niya, we can ask the Vice President to step down. Is that the sentiment of the entire House, T.S. Suarez? Kung Jill Bongalon said earlier po na kung hindi na interesado si VP Sara sa trabaho niya, we can ask the Vice President to step down. Is that the sentiment of the entire House?
Well, that's clearly the clear sentiments being shared by a lot of members. Kasi, alam mo, ano yun trabaho yun, responsibility. Kaya nga ako, iniisip ko, kung hindi kaya resign siya ng DepEd, tapos ito rin mangyari sa budget ng DepEd, ano kaya nangyari sa mahigit na, ilang kayang teachers ang umaasa sa DepEd na empleyado natin? Thousands yun, di ba? So, I mean, tayo lahat elected. Kami mga halal. Kami pinagkatiwalaan para maglingkod. May trabaho kaming dapat gampanan. Bahagi ng trabaho to Bahagi ng responsibilidad to. So bahagi talaga to na as head of agency, as head of department, you have to go through the process. And this is just bigger. This is not even about her. This is about the office of the Vice President, the second highest position of the land. And you have to put respect and due courtesy to that office. And to simply show up and do your work, I think it's the least that she can do for the office of the Vice President.
Thank you. Big Samintak from Net25, please proceed with your questions.
Magandang umaga po. Ang sabi nyo nga sa ngalan ng kortesiya, leniency, ibibigay nyo lahat sa Office of the Vice President. Naghintay kayo kahapon, maghihintay kayo ngayon, bukas, siguro hanggat magpakailanman. So, ang sabi nga ni Congressman Kung Hon, kaya sabi ko, hiramin ko si Tita Mili. First time na nangyari ito. So my question is, dahil ito ay magiging first time, at kung hindi talaga siya dumating, magkakaroon ba kayo ng clear policy ngayon sa budget deliberation ng isang head ng agency na hindi darating para malinaw kung anong gagawin ng Kongreso?
Well, definitely hindi kami mag-aantay ng magpakailanman. Kasi kailangan maipasa yung budget by Wednesday. At hindi ito mapipigilan, no, ng opisina ng Vice President na maipasa ng Kongreso ang budget come Wednesday. Yun nga lang, katulad nga ng sinabi natin kanina, first time nangyari ito, at kailangan din magdesisyon, no, ang mayorya or ang mga miyembro ng Kamara kung ano ang gagawin dito. Dahil yun nga, first time na nangyari ito, at kailangan mag-usap-usap ang miyembro ng Kongreso kung paano i-approach, no? Hindi namin masasagot ng kami lang to dahil syempre ito ay usapin na kailangan desisyonan ng buong Kamara de Representante.
Alam mo, she can come here. She's been here twice. She went here during the budget briefing in the committee level. She went here last week when we had the first hearing on good government. So she has time to go to the beach. She should have time to come here.
Pag madami ng absent sa classroom, may drop na. Parang ganun ba yan?
Ito po, yung practical approach lang po nung kung bakit importante na andito po yung head of the agency. Because we cannot expect the budget sponsor to answer everything on behalf of the department or agency. Kahit ako po, I defended several agencies. May mga katanungan po ako that I requested for a minute of suspension because I have to consult the secretary or the head of the agency. So, yun lang po yung kasi yung practical approach kung bakit kailangan po nandito yung ating pong head of the agency or even officials from a particular department or agency para tulungan po yung budget sponsor na nagdedepensa po ng kanilang budget. So, yun ang mawawala ngayon kasi we're talking about first time. And magiging ano po ito it will set as a bad precedent. Kasi baka gayahin din po ng mga ibang departamento o ahensya ng gobyerno, pwede naman pala hindi sumipot dyan sa plenary debates Padala na lang kami ng representative o kung sinong high-ranking official ng sinasabing agency. That is why it's very important that wag natin baliin ito pong naging tradisyon na dito po sa Kongreso that all government or all heads of the government agencies must appear before the plenary. Ginawa po natin yan doon sa Committee on Appropriations Budget Hearing. Diba po, nung time, I defended the budget of the DMW. Nung time po na yon, nandun po si Secretary Kakdak sa Senate kasi nakasalang po siya sa Commission on Appointments. So what did the Committee on APRO did is that ini-reschedule namin, kinancel namin yung budget hearing because members of Congress want the Secretary to present the budget before the members of the House of Representatives. Same thing in plenary discussion. Babalik po lahat ng heads of the agencies to aid, to help the budget sponsor in defending their respective budgets. So, yun po yung practical application kung bakit kailangan at importante na yung head of the agency ay nandito po sa plenaryo.
In addition lang, the congressman defends the budget, pero we are not the disbursing officer. Hindi naman kami yung tagagastos ng budget. We justify the budget, we defend the budget, but hindi kami yung tagagastos, no? So, kailangan mismo kung sino yung gumagastos ng budget, dapat sila yung naandito para sabihin kung paano nila ginagastos yung budget ng ahensya. At yun yung nakakalungkot, no? At yun yung nakakaawa sa sitwasyon ni Kong Sia. Maraming katanungan ng mga miyembro ng Kongreso na siguradong hindi niya masasagot pag wala rito yung mga opisyalis ng OVP. Dahil sila yung nag-disburse, sila yung gumastos, sila yung gumamit ng pera. At sila pa rin yung gagamit ng pera nitong 2025. So, kailangan nandito sila para ipaliwanag kung paano at saan nila gagamitin yung budget na ipinagkakatiwala sa kanila ng mamamayan.
Just to add lang po siguro, I think we're all in agreement here that we will not shift our rules for accommodating incidents such as this. On the part of the minority naman po, there might be a confusion, no, that we might be happy if there is no one to help the budget sponsor to defend it. We can say whatever you want. But that's far from the truth. Hindi rin naman yun yung gusto namin. What we're here for in the budget is to find answers, to seek answers, to clarify, to explain bakit po ganito yung budget. When you don't have a resource person around to aid the budget sponsor, not so much as to defend, but to to put substance into the budget, it becomes a lost cause. So, and I think regarding the rules, this is the first time lang po siguro, and hopefully it is the last. This would be the first time that an official has failed to reach the bare minimum of decency to at least appear po, no, or at least send a representative. But we're still hopeful that this would not be repeated. And we're still hopeful that the bare minimum of attendance would be, continued by other members. So I don't think we will have to change our rules for this po.
Thank you. The next question.
May follow-up lang.
Ryan, go ahead, Vic.
Just
Sorry.
one follow-up na lang po. Based on your explanation nga po na hindi nyo babaliin yung rules ng plenary regarding budget deliberation. So, is it possible na kung talagang hindi siya darating as a matter of parliamentary procedure, may miyembro na tatayo na lang mag-move to adopt the recommendation of the Appropriations Committee?
Again, I guess we will cross the bridge when we get there. Kasi like for today, we're still waiting for the officials from the Office of the Vice President to appear. So, malay nyo, magkaroon po ng himala. Mamayang hapon dumating. Di at least hindi mangyayari yung nabanggit po ninyo, sir, no? So, but then again, it's up to the members of the plenary. Hindi naman natin control kung ano pong decision po, lalong-lalo na sa members of the minority, wherein ang dami po nilang questions dun po sa budget ng OVP. So, let's wait and see kung ano po yung magiging takbo nitong diskusyon sa budget po ng OVP.
Thank you, Vic. The next question comes from Lenesca Panti of GMA Online.
Ay, good morning po, Lenesca. And sir, good morning po. Given the absence of the Vice President as of the moment, would you say that the House Appropriations Panel's recommended 733 million budget for OVP is a justified one and the 2 billion is unjustified? That's my question po.
You can't answer that question whether justified or not because we haven't even tackled it on the floor. And the reason why we can't tackle it on the floor is because she's absent. She is not here. You know what? Anything can happen during plenary debates. It has happened many times. May iba nagre-recommend ng dagdag budget, dagdagan. Kung nakikita naman nila na maganda at maayos, di ba? May pa nga nagre-recommend na kung pwede, doblehin pa. So sa akin, di ba, until such time that she is here, then we will know and find out from the members of Congress what our position is with regards to the recommendations on the Committee on Appropriations.
Thank you. Are you done with your question, Lenesca? Okay. Next question from Red Mendoza of Manila Times.
Hi po, good morning po. First question po. Kong Jill, yung sinabi niyo po na you're not necessarily pushing, pero you're necessarily parang pushing na rin for the Vice President to resign. Of course, she's voted by 32 million people. She's voted by more people than the President. And meron din siyang cadre of bloggers and supporters na pwedeng kalkalin ang buhay ninyong mga congressman. Kinakalkal na nga yung buhay ng mga quadcom eh. So ano pong ma-expect niyo po dito? Kasi you're basically treading on a landmine here. Kasi the Vice President has so many supporters.
Trabaho lang po, walang personalan.
Next question na lang po and my last question. Sinabi po ng isang columnist namin, si Manu Tequia, na you're being compared to an mafia. You're being compared to a mafia code of honor. Yung rules and yung mga pag-open ng budget, presentation and all. And I quote her, Omerta, the mafia's code of honor is embraced by the very institution elected by the voters to stand for their interests. And the rules are bent to suit their ends. Truly, he who has gold rules is the only rule honored in this chamber. What's your comment on that po, na parang you're acting like daw po a mafia?
She's entitled to her own opinion. Bahala siya.
As Kong Jill said, we're just working with the rules here. We're nagtatrabaho lang po kami. I appreciate the questions, Red, no, but they seem to be politically charged. So I think we'll just leave our work to speak for itself po siguro.
Ako, nabanggit mo yung 32 million, siguro ang isang opinion ko na lang doon. Respetuhin niya yung nagtiwala sa kanya para may luklok siya sa pwesto. At gampanan niya yung trabaho bilang vice-presidente.
Thank you.
And with regards to the landmine that you mentioned, yeah, it's been happening for the past 8 months, so it's nothing new.
Thank you. Kenneth Basilio from Business World.
Hello, magandang umaga po. So help us understand na lang po, no? State economic managers said they formulated the national budget with the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 in mind. So just to contextualize, the PDP places focus on promoting human social development, agriculture modernization, and domestic industry revitalization, among others. A review of the proposed budget shows that allocations to the agriculture, health, and social welfare departments were slashed, with the MSME Development Fund only at 2.3 billion. This is to support the 1.1 million micro, small, and medium enterprises that we have right now po. And the agriculture budget allocations stagnated po kasi when compared to the total economy po. Why does it seem na parang may disconnect between the Philippine Development Plan and the formulated proposed national budget po? And what could Congress do to ensure the budget adheres to the said plan po?
Well, definitely, the budget is there to support the objectives and goals of the Marcos administration. With regards to appropriation of funds, ang dami kasing factors ang dapat natin i-consider, such as utilization, efficiency, such as continuing funds that have to be put into consideration. So, but given the performance of the Marcos administration to date in addressing inflation, we've been very good. Inflation numbers are going down. When it comes to improving the lives of Filipinos, I think Filipinos are more positive with regards to their output when it comes to their state and their state of life. Kung titignan po natin yung continuous social amelioration programs na ini-implement across the nation, that is unprecedented. It has never been done, and it's only being done by the Marcos administration. So with respect to the goals of the Philippines under the Philippine Development Plan, I think we are still very much on track. With regards to the budget and the finances and the funds that are required to meet those goals, with regards to agriculture, infrastructure, and social development.
Yun din, to add lang. Alam naman po natin, usually, pag nasa ground ka, sinasabi nila yung Philippine Development Plan is napakagandang wish list. Sinasabi nila yan eh. Pero I beg to differ na alam natin na inaaral po yan bago naman po hinahain ng NEDA yan eh, na pag-aralan po maigi yung mga plano saka mga pangangailangan po ng national and local governments. Pero ang realistic side po niyan, hindi naman po lahat kasi talaga mapopondohan. Saka medyo kukulangin pa rin tayo sa pondo. Pero what this institution is doing dito po sa House of Representatives, on our part, yun nga, sabi ni DSJJ, tinitignan din natin kung paano po ginagastos yung mga nakaraang budget, yung burn rate, yung utilization rate. Kung yung mga specific agencies po, yung mga departments po na iba, hindi maganda po yung paggamit ng pondo. Kunwari, meron pong utilization rate na 3% lang. Bakit ganun po? So, siguro, hindi po karapat-dapat na mabigyan pa ng prioritization yung mga sectors na yun. So, it's really a tight balancing act. Pero syempre, wala naman pong sino mang leader o sino mang head ng ahensya na hindi po gustong mapondohan lahat ng priority na programs niya.
Just in addition lang po siguro in relation to the question, I think the government is still committed to following these development goals, if ever. But just for consideration po, no, it's not as simple as just looking at the budget in which departments were slashed. As mentioned by Congressman Ortega, definitely one thing that we look at is utilization rate. As much as we want to prioritize certain departments, when their utilization rate doesn't justify it, we can't give them the whole amount. But in addition to that, we also have to consider that some of the development goals, for example, if we're talking about agriculture, if we're talking about social amelioration, they don't necessarily fall. For example, pag agriculture, lahat ng programa nun nasa DA lamang. Or if we're talking about social amelioration, lahat yan nasa DSWD. We actually have a lot of interrelated projects. So while you may see a slash in a certain department, sometimes they're boosted by programs which fall under other departments. For example, we're talking about agriculture, in DPWH, the component in flood control now also include water catchment. So that actually comes into irrigation. So you might see a decrease in the DA, but with the increase in DPWH, interrelated pa naman po siya. And I understand there are other programs and projects that relate to convergence. So talagang there's an interplay between departments. And we leave it to the executive to propose to us through the DBM, which they feel, according to the economic managers, would be most helpful to our economy. So I think that's something lang that we should consider when looking at, it's not as simple as look at which departments are slashed. We have to consider the whole of government approach in relation to the programs and projects na pinopropose po nila. Yun na po.
Mag-add lang ako dun kay Jill, maikli lang. Tama po si Jill, no? Meron din po yung mga parang rerouting din po ng projects. Like, traditional buildings are usually not getting the same amount of funding, but mas may focus po sa green buildings, yung mga solars, may mga ganyan na po. And, syempre, alam po natin, bitin po yung mga funding for that, but the national government is being helped out by international private agencies, saka mga nagbibigay po ng grant na other organizations in funding po yung mga said na green buildings, sustainable buildings, solar-powered buildings, yung mga ganun po na infrastructure projects as well.
Follow-up lang po. So, may nakausap po kasi akong isang analyst, budget analyst. Ang sabi po niya, the government was unable to provide bigger budget allocations to the said departments po due to limited fiscal space resulting from bloated unprogrammed appropriations po from the previous year. So, to contextualize lang po, yung unprogrammed appropriations po kasi natin for the 2024 budget more than doubled to 131 billion po. Ayun po, ano yung nakikita natin dito sa unprogrammed appropriations, and sa tingin, do we think po ba na lolobo pa ito this coming budget po? Also yung sa pork barrel po, may comment po kasi yung analyst na parang pork barrel po yung unprogrammed appropriations.
Well, the concept of unprogrammed appropriations is that it is valid under in every year's budget. Kung halimbawa may ipinasa pong batas, no, na kailangan pong pondo, yun po doon sa unprogrammed appropriations kukunin. And of course, if there are programs and activities or projects of the government na kailangan ng additional funding, that could be a source of the funding wherein doon po kukunin siya sa unprogrammed appropriation. So it's not a pork barrel, no? Because part ito ng ating pong national budget every year.
Ako, my take has always been, a matter of being pragmatic. I used to be governor for almost 9 years. Throughout a term, ang dami mong mga madadaanan na mga problema na kung walang elbow room at walang leeway yung isang chief executive, hindi mo properly magagampanan yung trabaho mo. So you have to provide enough ample room and enough leeway for agencies, for departments to do work for things that are sometimes unforeseen. Also, meron din kasi mga pagkakataon na tumataas yung revenue collection mo. So therefore, there are certain projects that can be funded. And these oftentimes fall under that category. So we have to provide enough leeway and enough elbow room for agencies and departments to succeed and to perform their duty. So.
Dagdag na lang, of course, alam naman natin na unconstitutional ang pork barrel, no? Klaro naman po na that the national government, has to be responsive sa needs po sa changing needs. Hindi natin alam kung anong pwedeng mangyari in the next 5 months, 6 months. So sabi nga ni Kong JJ, yung konting space na yon has to be responsive for changing time. So we need to adapt as well.
Yung sa first part po ng question ko, yung ano po yung position ng chamber sa unprogrammed appropriations. Kasi ang naging rason daw last year, nagkaroon daw ng insertions ng bicameral conference committee na po. Ano yung position ng chamber? Are we against yung increasing by yung further allocations to the unprogrammed appropriations for next year, or ano po yung position natin?
The best is hanggat hindi pa natatapos yung budget process, we'll wait for our answer once the process is complete, because that we will find out kung ano ba talaga ang itsura ng 2025 General Appropriations Act. Remember, we're still on the second stage. We're still here in plenary debates. After this, may papasa po namin yung HGAB. The Senate will be coming up with their own analysis, with their own process, and after the Senate approves their version, we will have to meet as a bicameral conference committee and then propose the 2025 General Appropriations Act. And then after that, it will have to go through the President. And of course, we know that the President has veto power over certain items in the budget. So it's still so early in the game to come up with an opinion on a statement on something that it's not even there. So until it's final and until it's actually real already, I will hold my opinion still then. No?
Last follow-up question na po.
Please wrap up.
Yeah,
We have
sige,
two
sir.
more questions.
Okay. Yung sa DOH, ano po natin budget, no? It was deferred, yung DOH budget po natin, it was deferred kaninang madaling araw, no? Ano ba yung mga agencies na nakikita natin na magkakaroon pa ng mga ganitong contentious debates pagdating sa budget allocations, and how does the chamber plan to, move forward with this?
This is the beauty of democracy. where everybody's position and opinion matters when it comes to plenary debates. Where congressmen, if they feel that their answers are not properly responded to by the sponsor, talagang minsan nade-defer po talaga yung budget. Nangyari po ito sa DNR noong nakarang linggo, kaya it had to be rescheduled. Kaya nga mahalaga na nandito yung Vice President. Di ba? Kaya mahalaga ko, paano kung nangyari yung sitwasyon na naituloy yung hearing tapos may mga nagtanong tapos hindi maisagot ng sponsor kasi wala yung magpapaliwanag. Ano ngayon ang mangyayari sa proseso natin? So that's why, this is just part of the democratic process. So with regards to that, yes, it can happen. But that is the reason why Congress is working around the clock, like literally around the clock. Isipin nyo kagabi sa mga nandito at nakipuyat, 3:00 na ng umaga na tapos ang session and now we're still working. So feeling ko baka mamayang umaga, baka ngayong araw ng Martes, uumagahin pa ulit ang Kongreso sa paghihimay ng 2025 budget.
Thank you, Kenneth. Before we hear the last two questions from Mela and Marian, we will entertain first a phone-in question from GMA Des, from Jenna Balauro. Does the House have the authority to detain a resource person held in contempt, and can they be placed anywhere according to the rules?
Yes. Yes, the House can. Yes, the House has authority. And yes, the House has power to do so for as long as it is following the rules as approved by Congress. So yes, nasa kapangyarihan po namin yon. At nakita nyo naman sa maraming mga hearings na ginagawa ng ating Kamara, maging sa iba't ibang mga committees, the contempt power has been exercised many times. But for as long as we follow the requirements of the law.
Thank you. Melalis Moras from PTV4. You're recognized.
Hi, good noon po mga Kongs. Hingin ko lang po yung reaksyon nyo. Nagkaroon po ng bagong survey na inilabas ang Tangere Survey about sa satisfaction and trust ratings ng top government officials. Si President Marcos ay tumaas ng yung satisfaction na ng 46.4% at yung trust ratings na tumaas din ng 58.8% na. Si Vice President Sara Duterte bumaba po 48.7% yung satisfaction rating and yung trust rating 56.8%. Si Speaker Romualdez, tumaas din yung survey, yung satisfaction and trust ratings ng sa 46.3% at 56.4%. Maging yung survey yung ratings ni Senate President Francis Escudero at Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, tumaas din po. Ano pong masasabi nyo rito?
I'm satisfied. Hindi, sa mga, nakita ko yan kaninang umaga actually habang nagbe-breakfast ako. Very much welcome po. Kasi ang mga ganyang surveys naman po ay tools lang po kung paano mo i-improve yung the way you work, the way you do public service nung ginagawa natin. So, ako, personal reaction ko, dapat i-welcome talaga kung ano man yung mga resulta na yan at gamitin as parang grading system. Parang sa classroom, meron kang grade. Diba? O, kung delikado ka sa grado mo ngayon, kailangan mag-improve ka sa mga susunod na buwan. Thank you.
Well, from my point of view, I think it only means one thing. Performance will always beat politics. So the more that you work, the more that you do your work, the harder that you work, and the better that you perform your duties, the Filipino people will recognize this, and the Filipino people will respond to this positively. Nakita naman natin itong nakalalipas na mga buwan, yung ikot ng ating Pangulo sa iba't ibang probinsya sa paghahatid ng tulong, sa pag-a-address ng mga issues na hinaharap ng ating bansa. And of course, when it comes to the work of Speaker Martin Romualdez, we have seen the same, how do you say it, degree in dedication sa mga ikot po ng mga BPSF, sa paghahatid po ng mga tulong sa mga nangangailangan. At ngayon, dumadaan tayo sa budget process. And this is a collective effort, of course, of the 19th Congress. And I'm happy for the numbers that they have received. And I hope this will further inspire the administration to work harder, because the Filipino people need people who are serious and who are willing to work for the Filipino people.
Well, congratulations kay President BBM. Congratulations kay Speaker. Nakikita naman kasi talaga natin yung kanilang kasipagan at talagang hinaharap nila head-on yung problema ng ating bayan. Hindi sila nagtatago, hindi sila umiiwas, at talagang ginagampanan nila yung tungkulin sa ating mamamayan. Talagang napakasipag ng kanilang pag-iikot. Talagang gusto nilang makita, makausap lahat ng sektor ng ating mamamayan, lalong-lalo na yung sa ating mga kababayan sa Mindanao, ating mga kababayan sa Kabisayaan, talagang pinupuntahan nila. So talagang hindi na tayo magtataka kung nakikita at nararamdaman ng ating mamamayan yung trabahong ipinapakita ni President BBM at ni Speaker Martin Romualdez.
Thank you. Last question for today, Marian Enriquez from Channel 5.
Sige. Pero si Gab muna, kasi medyo related kay VP yung tanong niya.
DSJJ, kanina kasi nabanggit nyo na parang nini-imagine nyo kung anong mangyayari kung hindi rin pupunta si VP Sara at DepEd Secretary pa siya. Maraming maapektuhan. So tingin nyo, sir, buti na lang talaga nag-resign siya?
Well, hindi ko sinabi na buti na lang nag-resign siya. Ang iniisip ko lang kasi, syempre kung ito yung ugali niya bilang OVP, tapos assuming na hindi siya nag-resign, di ano nangyari sa budget ng DepEd? 1 milyon na teachers yata ang umaasa sa DepEd budget. At saka hindi lang yung mga teachers, yung mga bata, yung mga paaralan, yung mga magulang na umaasa sa maayos na edukasyon, di ba? So, I mean, that was the point that I was trying to make, because at that time she was holding 2 positions and very important. So, sana ito naman ay posisyon na ipinagkatiwala sa kanya. Posisyon na binanggit mo nga kanina, 32 million ang nagduklok sa kanya doon. Di sana yun ang magsilbing tuntungan niya para gawin yung trabaho, di ba? Humarap, magpaliwanag, pumunta dito, at kung hindi siya natutuwa, di marami pa namang paraan, di ba? This is just, part of the democratic process that everybody has to go through. Now, sometimes the process is difficult, sometimes the process is uncomfortable, but ganun po talaga yun di ba? Hindi naman natin maiiwasan yun dahil lahat tayo ay halal na opisyal ng ating bayan.
Buti na lang at si Secretary Angara na yung Secretary ng Department of Education, dahil nakita naman talaga natin yung pagbulusok pababa, yung kalidad ng edukasyon, lalong-lalo na yung lalong-lalo na yung ang may hawak pa ng Department of Education, si VP Sara pa. Nakita naman natin yung pagbaba ng kalidad ng edukasyon nung siya pa yung namumuno sa Department of Education. So buti na lang at si Secretary Angara na yung namumuno sa DepEd ngayong panahon na ito.
To add lang, this is nothing personal para sa pagkakaintindi po ng taong bayan. This is not even a question on for her as a secretary, as the vice president. For me, ang totality po lahat nito, this is a question of leadership. Can you lead the department? Can you lead your office? Kaya mo bang i-lead? Kaya mo bang i-lead ang Pilipinas? Kaya mo bang i-lead yung constituency mo? So it's a leadership question. So kung may problema ka bilang leader, paano yung mga umaasa sa'yo saka nasa likod mo? So it's a leadership problem and a leadership question. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Marian.
I'm surprised lang wala nagtanong about Quadcom or anything. Pero siguro, ask ko lang po sana if you wanna comment on this po si Attorney Melvin Matibag. Nag-file po ng disbarment case against Attorney Harry Roque sa Supreme Court. Noted yung social media post ni Roque on the Pulveron issue among others involving President Marcos. Your comment po.
I've only come across that now. Kailan siya nag-file? This morning. Okay. Well, I hope even if sinong nag-file? Melvin Matibag? Yeah, I hope even if Melvin Matibag has filed the same, it's still not enough. It still doesn't give reason for Attorney Harry Roque not to present himself in the next Quadcom hearing, which is scheduled on Friday. So we hope na makadalo siya dahil marami tayong kailangan maitanong sa kanya. Gusto ko pong i-congratulate yung efforts ng PAOK TF noong nakarang linggo. Dahil habang nagka-Quadcom hearing po tayo, nahuli po nila si Tony Yang, yung kapatid po ni Michael Yang. So isa po siyang vital person of interest pagdating sa criminal underworld syndicate sa ilalim ng POGO. So with regards to that, I have no opinion because of course that is the position of Attorney Matibag. But what I'm hopeful for is Attorney Harry Roque presents himself in the next Quadcom hearing on Friday.
Okay. Before we conclude our press conference, we invite our distinguished guests to share their very short closing remarks. Sir, if you have any.
Our closing remark is public office is public trust. So let us not betray the people that have elected us into office. Let us make sure that we do our mandate, we do the responsibilities, and we do the tasks that come with it. So nandito po tayo, araw ng Martes, may 2 araw pa po tayo. We will extend all courtesy to the Vice President. To make sure that we can get over the deliberations for the office of the Vice President with regards to her budget, and with regards to other issues and topics. I would like to thank the media for always being there, for covering the activities of the House. The next few days, marami din pong mga committees sa magtatrabaho. Kung di po ako nagkakamali, nakaschedule po yung Good Government bukas. Tapos meron din po tayong Quadcom sa Friday. So kung paano niyo po kami sinamahan ngayon, sana ganoon din po yung suporta na yung papakita po ninyo sa madarating na araw. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you rin po sa mga kaibigan natin sa media at huwag po natin kakalimutan samahan ang pambansang barkada, ang Young Guns on the Move, 5:15 p.m. to 6 o'clock sa PTV4 at papasyalan po namin ang very historic city of Manila. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Suarez, Assistant Majority Leaders Conghun, Ortega, and Bungalon, and Representative Gutierrez. Thank you for joining us today. Sa inyong lahat, magandang tanghali po. Salamat.